right, hello, Sooner Nation. Hopefully next week we get back on track. No more holidays. My bank account sure is glad that we're not going to have Christmas and New Year's and kids' birthdays. And I made a mistake of making 2 kids in January, so that is some on me, some on our Lord and Savior for his birthday being in December.
Yeah. I made the either really smart or really dumb decision to get married on December 27th. So yeah, just lump it all together. And for anyone who's not married, if the wife says, "Look, don't worry about getting me anything for anniversary. We just take Christmas," she's always telling the truth. She doesn't want anything. It's no big deal. They're all really chill about that stuff all the time.
Well, Baker said the funniest thing. Yesterday, my sister-in-law asked what he wanted for his birthday. His birthday was yesterday. And he said, "Jesus, didn't we just have Christmas?"
Yeah. Exactly.
Like, very true, buddy. He goes, "I don't know what else I need. I've got everything." I go, "Well, those words were never uttered out of my girl's mouth. I can promise you that."
And as we're in, and this is one of those deals, and I just listened to the Oklahoma Breakdown a while ago while I was cooking dinner. And Gabe and Teddy talked about this is the time of the year. It's just kind of weird to do these pods because, somebody commits and then that's all anyone wants to talk about. And you don't know this and you just know this. And so it's it's that squirrely time of the year. We're all refreshing Twitter a lot. We're texting with different people that we know. And so a funny story that I want to share with you guys is get a phone call from my mom this afternoon. And my mom is, a sweet lady, but not.
I'm about to say, if she's giving you portal news,
that's where I'm going with this. But, and so my mom's like, "Stephen, I was looking on Facebook." I was like, "Uh-oh."
Oh, God, that's always the worst.
Yeah. And she said, "Is it true what Whoopi Goldberg is saying about John Mateer?" and I was like, "Well, Mom, I really don't think there's any truth to that, but give me a minute, Mom, and I'll look around and see." Well, obviously, no, there's no John Mateer, Whoopi Goldberg news, but the fact that the logarithms of Facebook have decided to inundate my mother with fake news on John Mateer and Whoopi Goldberg, this guy tells you everything you need to know about the portal season and why it's crazy.
Well, not to mention, I got had for like the first time in forever. I sent some to our friend group. I was like, "Sweet, R. Mason Thomas is coming back." Tattoo Baker got me again. He reposted R. Mason coming back last year. And as a minute I press send to my friends, I go, "Oh, crap, I didn't look at the date." And I looked, I was like, "God dang it, Tattoo Baker got me." So I haven't got in a while, and so that's on me. Good job, Tattoo Baker. That's all I can tell you. So
I did. Let's talk about some good news here. As we're listening to this right now, we only have one portal edition, and right now that is Hayden Hansen, the big tight end from Florida. And I told Jeremy we were talking about this a little bit before. Kind of reminds me a little bit of an Austin Stogner look to him. Obviously a little taller, being 6'8". But I really think the difference is if you've looked at the portals in the past, the different portals, and this is where I think the Jim Nagy being here is bigger. It seems like we were always second for a guy or third for a guy, or we didn't have the money for a guy. I think this is the guy that we wanted. We looked at, we heard, this is one of the first names we heard as soon as the portal opened. We got him on campus. We got it done. That kind of efficiency is what we're paying Jim Nagy for. And hopefully by the time we do our next pod, we've got more people lined up. Hopefully before this pod's over, we've got more people lined up. But that being said, I think that signing just shows some improved efficiency over where we've been in the past.
Yeah. And one thing I was telling Steve before I got on here, my sister-in-law is in Norman for a softball camp. And she stayed at the hotel where a lot of their portal guys are coming in for their visits, and they're staying at these hotels. Guys, I'll tell you that I will just say this. We are doing a lot more stuff behind the scenes that nobody knows about. I can promise you we aren't doing and sitting on our hands like everybody assumes we are. I think one of our friends said something the other night about oh, great to see these are the players we're going after. And I said, you realize that probably the best player in the playoffs right now is a Division II quarterback from Ferris State.
Yeah.
So, like, there are guys out there that are diamonds in the rough that all you got to do is find them and what fits your system. OU, would they like to have a Cam Coleman? Absolutely. Would they like to have a Livingstone and possibly, you know, the kid from Owasso who just put his name in the portal, put these two. Now, I know two white receivers are against everything that we believe in. I know I know OU fans are going to be like, two white receivers. We don't have room for one Drake Stoops. So I just feel like
it's also going to be interesting to have if we do get Livingston, it is going to be interesting to see, actually can have a receiver over 6'3" who actually plays. So that would be interesting to see too.
Well, you can tell that they have an idea of what they want to go after, and like
and it sounds like there's some chatter around a Vanderbilt receiver. There's some chatter around a Virginia receiver. Like I said, we know Livingston. I'm not sure which one.
I think it's Livingstone, I believe.
But either way, he's from Texas. So right now we still don't have to like him. If he comes, we'll learn to say your name exactly correct every time.
We'll cross that road when we get there.
Yeah.
Right now, we don't really give a crap.
But Parker, we'll refer to him right now. It sounds like he's going to be in either tomorrow or Tuesday, and so lots of things, churning through the portal. So just like Jeremy said, and it was neat for Jeremy to tell, what he told me this earlier, having some boots on the ground of things that are going on. I don't have any intel on the Joe John Finley front as far as who's going to be that replacement. We still haven't got the official word from the university that Joe John is out. Now that being said, I wouldn't anticipate that coming until probably the semester starts back, or until maybe there's a replacement found, and they make both those announcements at the same time. I also think they're giving Joe John plenty of time to land another position, and don't be shocked even if Joe John is out as a coach, if he's on as an analyst. Don't be shocked by that either. So,
well, and I will tell you, one of the guys that was recruiting out last night was Joe John Finley. So he is still recruiting portal guys. So like Steve said, there might be, if he doesn't find a job, I don't see Brent Venables just saying good luck, move on. He could be an analyst just until he can figure out his next move. Now I've heard rumors of him, a lot of other schools being interested in him. So we'll see. I think he is not going to be our tight ends coach. I'm confident in saying that. But I do think if he doesn't find another job, he will still be on staff in some capacity, more than likely. And same thing. And guys, I will tell you, they are using DeMarco still. I know a lot of people are like, what are we going to do with DeMarco? DeMarco is being used because DeMarco Murray is a name. He's
a good recruiter. I mean, you can talk about if he's a bad talent evaluator or if he's to me, it's more, is he a bad guy of development guy? Is he too much of a hard butt? Is he, that or whatever? But the guy's a recruiter, and like Jeremy said, he's a big name.
Yeah.
And, a couple things with big names to go there too. Number one, we all hope Joe Jones will get the Kentucky job. He didn't. They hired A&M's. They had a guy from A&M to be their tight ends coach. So he did not get that job. But this is still a time there's going to be jobs opening and closing. Jason Witten's names got thrown around a lot. And I know I've seen some people going to be negative with that, or why are we going to hire somebody who's been a high school coach who's never coached college before? Because he's Jason freaking Witten, okay, is exactly why. Because he's one of the best, 4 tight ends ever? Mm-hmm. I mean, come on. If you get a chance to hire Jason Witten for that position, do it. And doesn't hurt that his son is a blue chip linebacker either. Okay.
Yeah, you usually find room.
And if we only had a coach who was interested in such things. Oh, we did. His name's Brent Venables.
Yeah. So I mean, guys, it's all about like money. It's all about names. Yes, to me, Jason Witten, I think, is still a good coach. I don't think like people just think, oh, well, you got a coach like, you know what? Sometimes guys are just good X and O's guys. I mean, tight ends a lot of times are pretty smart football players.
Well, and I think he's going to kind of know how to play tight end and how to teach that a little bit.
I think he's got a pretty good idea how tight end works. And not to say Joe John doesn't, but also too, I think it's good to get away from this former OU players, and I just feel like we fell in that trap a little too much, in my opinion. But
kind of a funny aside here, guys. I've got Twitter up on another tab here, and David Stone. I just kind of freaked out for a second. David Stone just sent out a Hayes Fawcett thing of that he's re-signed, and he's blah blah blah. He's going to be back. And one of the first comments is Jaden Jackson. Jaden Jackson's response is, "Man, WTF scared me." So I think we can safely say that Jaden Jackson's going to be back too. He's like, what the,
Well, who was it? The kid, the defensive tackle that put himself in the portal from where was it? He's one of Jaden Jackson's friends, and they are pretty heavily on.
And then David Stone's been throwing some stuff at Caden Durham. So that would be interesting.
Do we right the wrong with the Taylor Tatum and Durham deal? Like we went with Taylor Tatum. Now, like we have this opportunity.
We were right. You were wrong.
Yeah, it's all set up for us. But that said, how much money is he going to want?
We do know there's been some behind the scenes chatter on, how much money each running back's making. There's been a little bit of from Blaylock's camp and Robinson's camp on who's making more and, that sort of thing. I really don't know, what would happen if you came in and paid a Caden Durham more. Now, it sounds like the running back of Colorado State is a really big possibility. Kid started his career at Tulsa. So the reason that's relevant is Kevin Wilson was a coach at Tulsa whenever this kid was at Tulsa, and then he left when Wilson left. So it sounds like this guy is more like a third down back, kick returner type guy, obviously going to make less money than Blaylock and Robinson. Would they bring in someone above that on the pay scale like a Caden Durham? I don't know. I mean, if Jeremy and I were GMs and we had Cody Campbell money, we'd sign everyone. That's great. Cam Coleman.
You don't want me being ahead of money. I can promise you that.
Cam Coleman would be would be boomering and soonering all down Lindsay right now. But that being said, that's not what Jim Nagy's doing. So I would put the Caden Durham thing at a low because I think this is the guy looking for cash. But I think if OU could be in a similar position cash-wise, this is the guy we finished second for, just kind of like with the receiver from Texas as well. So, I think when you don't burn those bridges, and that is one thing that staff continuity is important, is, this is a guy who, probably did like DeMarco Murray and has a relationship with him, just like, Parker has a relationship with them at Jones and probably, does like to have that. So that's one thing that continuity is important with.
I'm kind of interested too with the Cole Adams deal. I mean, kid from Owasso. I know we were into running for him. He is prototypical slot receiver. We have Satanga, in my opinion, who, when he goes to the NFL, will be a slot receiver and be a guy that is a speedster. That I just feel like if we get Satanga to come back, we got to get those outside guys in those. Just where he puts Satanga in positions or where he isn't necessarily the head guy, but he's those one that you do the little screens to, or one guy in the slot spot that get him out in the open field to where he can try to make some people miss. But I also feel like Cole Adams maybe fits that position. So is that somebody, if Satanga decides that he's not coming back, look at him?
And you just look at a Cole Adams. Cole Adams is leaving because we never saw him do anything but return punts at Alabama. This is the guy who I'm sure is wanting to go play. And if he comes to Oklahoma, do I think he'd have a chance to play? Maybe. But one thing with Emmett Jones is we really don't play very many receivers, whether that's if that's a Ben Arbuckle thing, if that's a Emmett Jones thing, I don't know. But I do think that probably hurts a little bit. It hurts and or helps. If you think you're going to be one of those top 3 or 4 guys, you're going to get a ton of snaps. But if you're not one of those top 3 or 4 guys, it kind of puts a damper on that. And, I still have high hopes for Elijah Thomas. Obviously, we want Satanga back. I'm surprised that a Zion Kearney and a Zion Reagans have not already been in there. And Ivan Carry-On, I don't think is in the portal either. And so there's a lot of interesting things there. Another interesting thing I do want to point out is Emmett Jones's contract runs out at the end of January. Now, I don't think Brent has a relationship with him, and he's not a former Sooner in the same way that Joe John is, but maybe he's gotten to the end of January to find something else. Maybe we're going a different direction there as well. I don't know. But the fact that his contract's that close to being out and we haven't heard about an extension is a little bit of a question.
Makes you wonder. All right, let's dig into, we got some guys that have not surprises that put themselves in the transfer portal from OU. Michael Hawkins makes his decision. It sounds like he's going to probably go to West Virginia. But to me, I think it shows you a little bit of clarity to what Mateer is going to do. I don't think Hawkins gets in the portal if John Mateer is not going to be back. So
right.
I think John Mateer pretty much doesn't have to say anything. I think Michael Hawkins pretty much said it for him.
Right.
Gentry Williams going into the portal is is it a little surprising? Yes. But that said, when you got a guy who had injury problems as much as he did,
he's the guy who wants to play.
He does. And I don't think with the way his injuries have been the last 3 seasons, it's just the guy is an NFL cornerback. I'm not taking anything away from him, but he's going to have to take a pay cut. And a lot of these guys are leaving because they cannot pay Gentry Williams the same amount of money when you've got Guillory and Eli Bowen doing what they're doing right now. Like Guillory's going to get a pay raise.
Yeah.
So who's going to lose money? Gentry Williams has got to lose money. Can he go somewhere else and maybe make more than what he's making at OU? Maybe. But he can definitely make more than what he was probably getting offered. So this is a business, guys. That's what college football is. And also, too, I will throw this little tidbit out there. I'm hearing a lot of rumor about Heineke. I just feel like I don't think he's going to make it back. There was some stuff that happened during an injury when he first came to OU that OU had a chance to redshirt him. They didn't, and NCAA is kind of punishing OU for it, is what I'm hearing. So, to me, the longer this drags on, the more I feel like we better start looking for somebody else.
No, it does kind of sound like Kip is supposed to be back. And, obviously I want both, but if you're just going to offer me one of the two, I'd prefer to have Kip. But I really don't want it to be neither. I do think this is why we are probably a little more active at the linebacker market. There may be people we're going to be
the bigger names too.
Yeah.
Like we aren't bargain shopping at linebacker. You can obviously tell.
So that's interesting. I think Jeremy, probably the two people that probably were like the most surprising, maybe the wrong word, but detrimental to our depth was Marcus Strong and Logan Howland both getting in there, just because those are both positions that are very sought after in the portal. And you can't blame these guys to go and get starter money, because I think these are guys that can start, maybe not at an Alabama or an Indiana or an Ole Miss, but these are guys that can go start, for an Arizona or a Purdue or an NC State, someone like that. And you go and you get starter money in those positions. You can't blame those guys. And plus they want to get on the field.
And Strong, it sounds like he's got a visit to Kentucky. Or
I saw that.
That's who they're putting kind of in the lead. I think that's a good fit for him.
I saw like Day Jordan was like Oklahoma State, maybe where he ends up, so it's a lot of these guys that were fringe players, and that's the portal world we live in now. And that's why I think player evaluation is super duper important, because you look at Indiana, who right now is the gold standard after them just waxing. I'll eat my crow. They look like the best team in football, a lot, by a pretty wide margin the other day. But what it is they do what Alabama used to not do. They don't screw up. And they've got a bunch of players who fit their system and are completely bought in. They did a great job evaluating their talent. And when you evaluate your talent correctly, you got a chance to have really good football teams.
Yep. I mean, and the more I watch him, the more this is me to a T. Like Signetti's starting to bother me now, just because like he's arrogant, but he can back it up, and our friends are just like, "See, this is what I mean. Why can't any other big school do this?" Because you get one situation where it's just the right fit and everything aligns.
No,
and
that's
like, why can't we do this? Because you know what? Let's just call it what it is. Indiana got lucky with Signetti. Signetti is a hell of a football coach. I'm not taking anything away from him. All the pieces are fitting in place. Everything's working. But what I want to see is remember Bob Stoops won after 2 years?
Yeah.
And not to say we went down, but what I want to see is when Signetti keeps having to bring it, because I'm telling you.
Well, you're resetting the board every year with what they're doing. Okay. This isn't built on high school recruiting. It's resetting the board. And you can even look, they had a really good day in the portal today. Yeah. You know, as far as they probably got the quarterback from TCU, they get a running back from here, they get a receiver from there. But you're resetting the board every time. And, you know, Mendoza is a weird dude. Okay. He is. But the dude, you know, may run a little bit like Forrest Gump running around out there, but he looks a little goofy, but the guys make unbelievable throws. And I think he's a really good leader. I think, you know, this is a kid who was like genuinely excited when his center won, you know, the offensive player of the game for that deal. He's a weird cat, but it all fits. He's going to go be the number 1 pick in the draft or the number 2 pick in the draft. He's not going to be there. Yeah. So you're going to hit the reset button again. And like Jeremy's saying, the pixie dust has been sprinkled, and Signetti has done a great job here. Okay, this year it's all worked out really well, but it doesn't mean that every year Indiana's going to be there. Now, I think he's raised their level where they're going to be a contender now, but this is one of those years for them that everything has went their way. Mm-hmm. What Indiana did to Alabama for 3 quarters is what we did to them for 1 quarter. Mm-hmm. And, you know, we won't ever forget, but it was 17-0 for us. And it looked like the same woodshed beating that Indiana took Alabama to the second, third, and fourth quarters. Okay. Yeah. We also would have liked to have played them without Ty Simpson. That'd have been pretty cool too. But, you know, all that being said, not taking anything away from Indiana, but what they showed you is, like Jeremy said, you got to be a little bit lucky and you've got to do a great job evaluating talent, because I don't want to hear, why are we getting players from, you know, this, that, or whatever. Look at where those players are from. Okay. Their quarterback was from Cal, just like Jaden Ott was. It's just worked out a heck of a lot better. Mm-hmm. Okay. They've got receivers who look like track speed out there who came from Bowling Green. And, you know, a lot of these guys are from JMU. So lots and lots of things going on out there, but hats off to Indiana. But again, that's what we're paying Jim Nagy for. Hopefully it's to make some better observations here in the portal.
Yeah. And
they're old guys. And that's really important too.
I wanted to say that too, is they are a veteran team. You don't get that much in college football anymore, because like when you get guys that's been there if you get guys for 3 years, it is just like, it's a dinosaur right now. Because how many times have we looked at it and we had a guy for 2 years, we're like, oh God, I hope he stays. I hope he doesn't leave. They got to get their hands around this portal situation, because I feel like everybody's just putting themselves in the free agent market just to see what their value is. That's got to stop. I mean, I don't think, and we knew it was going to happen. It's got to get so bad that eventually NCAA looks at it, which it's got to get real bad for the NCAA to look at it, and not to say NCAA is going to fix it, because they don't fix most things. But that said, they do got to get a hand around this. And I love what Nick Saban says. I wish Nick Saban, they would put him on the board and let him talk to him, just because I do agree with a lot of things he's saying that could fix it. I just don't think NCAA, they're so just like stuck in their ways that now we gave you NIL. This is what you wanted, right? You're paying players. And it's like, no, we are, but also too, like this isn't an NFL. Like it's supposed to be some kind of college.
Yeah, no. And I thought Saban was right on the point. You know, his little rant he had on game day. I think Dan Lanning made a pretty good point. I mean, it's no different than the point that Calipari, if you saw that meme, that quote that went a little viral this week, went on it too. And don't get me wrong, I'm not advocating the NCAA is awesome. I don't mean that. Okay. But what people don't understand is the NCAA is a lot like the OSSAA here in Oklahoma. There's some flaws with that system. And there's some things that go on that I think could be easily fixed. But what people don't understand is the NCAA has to put up with a lot of court rulings and a lot of decisions that are made that have even more implicit bias than the rulings that they're making. Okay. Because they don't understand that college sports is different. They don't see that a college swimmer is different than Fernando Mendoza. Okay. Yeah. They don't see the difference between, Cameron Boozer and someone on the equestrian team at Oklahoma State. To them, to the legal side of it, they treat all people the same. They're not. And that's where we do need like these czars of, whether it's Josh Pate or it's Nick Saban or whoever it is, we do need these essentially like for the sports, for basketball, for football, you need commissioners for these sports that just set out some basic rules and understand that those players are not the same. They're not. Yeah. I mean, and no, Fernando Mendoza is not even the same as the quarterback at Tulsa or, the quarterback at Akron or something like that. Those are totally different guys too. But I'm ranting all that to say, I do think in the next 3 or 4 years, there is going to be some improvement here, but I think it's going to take some congressional things. I think it may take like an executive order from President Trump. And, it's one of those things, whether you like President Trump or you don't, President Trump will do something. And, I think he probably watched the Hunger Games movie and said, that looks pretty cool. Now he's having 2 kids from every state come to the Capitol here next year, Speaking of that, I want to dovetail into this. I saw a really funny message board genius things where there's some Texas Tech fans who were very concerned if we control Venezuela's oil, will that make the oil market go down and hurt their NIL fund? So, everything in the world
it always goes back to
college football, guys.
Always goes back to NIL and how much money we are allowed to pay. I mean, that's so funny. Like I there's a lot of people in the world that if you told them NIL, they would have no clue what that meant. So it's just funny that everybody brings in what our world goes through to NIL and college football. That's the world we live in. So, hey, let's dig into some basketball. It is basketball season. Before we get in that, guys, I'm going to do it in the middle, and I'll do it at the end. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube. Do it now. We're at 177, I think, last time I looked. So keep subscribe. If you're listening, might as well subscribe to it. It's pretty easy. So
not that big of a deal if you don't listen every week, even though we want you to do. It's just a little dot on the side over there. No big deal. Just hit it. We appreciate it.
Hey, I'm sending you some tidbits that I'm getting from different people. I'm developing sources, believe it or not. But let's get into basketball. 1-0 in conference play. Any win in the SEC to me is I don't give a crap. Ole Miss and Chris Beard coach team.
Okay, well, it's just like this, Jeremy. If we were sitting here, we would have asked who's going to be in better shape right now, a team with Chris Beard coaching it or a team with Porter Moser coaching it. Mm-hmm. And if you zoom back a year ago, we're going to say, obviously, the Chris Beard one is. But, man, Xavier Brown was just absolutely awesome. 23 points the other night. I thought Tay Davis was really good. He had like 15. Mm-hmm. But once again, we talked about this. When Mo is on the floor, we are just really good. 10 points, 15 rebounds. He was just really, really, really good. And when he is, this is a team that can get to a second weekend of an NCAA tournament. And I know we're not ranked or anything like that right now, but I really think this team has Sweet 16 upsides because Xavier Brown has kind of turned into where we're not needing Nigel Pack to be the leading scorer. Nigel Pack needs to be the guy who you have to guard, who allows space for everybody else. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But Xavier Brown's just been awesome. And, I mean, Qual was just, he was really, really good off the bench. Yeah. Came in, he'll always fire it, but goes in there, dunks on a guy too. Mm-hmm. Just really thought it was a really, really good effort from OU basketball. Really did.
And multiple shooters behind the arc. I think mm-hmm. that is a huge that's what basketball is now, especially college basketball. You got to have guys that can knock down threes. You can't just have one guy. You got to have multiple guys.
No, I mean, like Jadon Jones couldn't make shots this game, but it was okay because we got him from other places. But there's going to be games like the Bedlam game where he hits those shots. And so having those kind of guys just makes his team a lot better.
Not to mention now with Pat, Chris Beard kind of showed you a little bit. They're trying to get him off the three-point line where he can't take shots. He penetrates. They're trying not to help too much on his penetration. They want him to take those outside shots. But also, too, he's good to penetrate and kick out. Now they're trying to just go one-on-one with him where they prevent him from taking the outside shot. But he was still getting to the rim. He still had 13, I think, yesterday. And
15.
I mean,
15, he had 15, Jeremy, and he went 0 for 3 from the three-point line.
Quiet,
okay?
That's what I'm saying. Very quiet 15, but like, you get 15 points and
if you told November Steve, hey, we're going to win an SEC game and Nigel Pack's not going to make a three, I wouldn't have believed you. And so that's definite positive.
And I mean, it's kind of what I said in the first part of the year. I said this team's got to get used to playing with each other. And to me, especially on the defensive side, you're seeing it a little bit more. You're seeing more continuity with the group they have, but that's what I did not have a problem. Look at Nebraska now.
Yeah. Nebraska beat Michigan State this last week.
Undefeated. That Nebraska loss and that Gonzaga loss isn't that bad. Now the Arizona State loss is probably our worst loss right now. But those Gonzaga and the Nebraska loss doesn't look bad. And what really sucks is we kind of blew that Nebraska game. And
we gave up over 100 points,
But also, too, Oklahoma State got beat yesterday by Tech, but they had one loss. Yeah, they had one loss, and that was to us. So, I mean,
no. I mean, like you said, stock's up right now. We're going to sit and get more into basketball, have a very winnable game with Mississippi State on Wednesday. Got a chance to start out. To me, you got a really good chance to start out 4-0 in the conference. You got a chance to win Mississippi State. Then you go to A&M, which will be tough. I watched the end of A&M and LSU the other night. Then you've got Florida at home, which Florida is good, but they're not what they were last year. It's a game at home. And, then you've got Alabama at home. And that could just be a massive, massive game. I think they're ranked like 14th right now, but I think Alabama is a legit top 10-ish team. I mean, they just absolutely wiped the floor with Kentucky this last weekend. So
it's all about winning the games you're supposed to. And I think last year,
and then trying to split, some of those other ones. So
last year we lost too many SEC games that we had a chance to win, but also too, we have more players this year. To me, is more group.
Well, there's a more diverse way of doing it. It's not just let's hope Fears is hot. And, Fears and more. That's it. Fears and more, and pray we can score. I mean, that was pretty much what the offense was last year. So we're seeing more of that. I do think it's important. The better that Tay Davis can get, I think the better this team can get as far as him kind of being a hub off the ball a little bit. But, man, Xavier Brown's just been the kind of guy that can go win you a game in the second round of the NCAA tournament, and you don't get to the Sweet 16s without really good guards. And he's
gotta get Forsythe healthy too. He's to me, it's tough because it's both ankles, not just one. So he's going to be limited, probably starting off. So just kind of, he's a piece. Like, he might not be a main piece, but in my opinion, he gives you good minutes off the bench. And I think that's really,
as you get in the conference season, more depth is definitely not a bad thing, because someone else is going to have a dinged up ankle. Someone else is going to have, nobody. It's the old, like, late season in football, nobody 100% healthy. So
for sure. And it's when you get into conference season, like I said, I think our mark to get into the tournament, I think 8, 9, possibly 9 wins. And I think we're good. I think just make sure you don't have a losing record in conference play with the way the SEC is this year. SEC's down. Kentucky is not good. Arkansas is good. Arkansas is a good ball club. Who'd they beat yesterday? They beat Tennessee.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Good game. Tennessee's a good basketball team. They are good teams, but the
SEC is not what it has.
No, the bottom
is
not what it was
really
last
bad. Year. There's not. It's not what it was last year. So positive things. If you are in the Oklahoma City area, or if there's a game on the weekend, try to go out and see it. I think it's going to be an enjoyable team. Props to Porter. I think the roster construction was good. Once again, not that Trey Young, who is needing his who has GM duties of his own to kind of figure out. I think he's probably on the move here in the next couple of months. But I do think that hiring of Trey at the GM position pumped in a little more money, pumped in a little more name recognition, and allows us to go get some better players. And you know what makes better coaches? Better players. And you know what makes a better Soonercast? More emails, more comments, more followers, more likes. If you need to talk to us, Soonercast@gmail.com.
Absolutely. And guys, I said it before, subscribe to us. We're going to have a lot more portal stuff come out. We're trying to get back on track to our Wednesday pods going now that the holidays are over. So subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Apple and Spotify. Let's keep it going. We've got some momentum.
And something Jeremy and I have talked about is we've got a chance to bring on some pretty cool people, pretty cool guests here in the coming few weeks. I've made some comments there. We'll let you know a week out on who we're going to have and that sort of thing. But we do want to keep this mainly just two random guys talking about Sooner sports, and we appreciate all the success that when we can bring some different perspective, we're going to do that as well. So look at that as you as a subscriber, you can look and see, hey, there's a third paint on there this week, so you can see who that is.
Yeah, we'll try to give you a heads up before that. But yeah, like I said, we will have some more portal news. Hopefully, some more stuff's going to come out. I'll try to keep my my ears to the ground, as they say, to see what else I can hear. And yeah, like I said, subscribe to YouTube, follow us on Apple and Spotify, and send us some comments to this week, and give us some stuff to talk about. We love to. We'll try to get to as many of them as we can on here. Maybe the next pod, if we need some stuff to talk about, which we probably will, because if we get on Wednesday, I guess it's OU basketball plays Wednesday, so yeah. They'll probably be playing us wrong. So, but until next time, Boomer Sooner.
Boomer.